Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Clifford Semi. Welcome to the College Hacked YouTube channel where we hope you graduate quickly and inexpensively so that you can build a career that you love. Today, we are going to be doing another one of our wonderful Q&As. Remember, the format of this is basically like a call-in radio show, except that I'm just reading comments. There's not actually any call-ins. We might do that in the future. That would be kind of cool. So I'm going to go over questions that you guys have left in my comments. If you have more questions that you want me to answer, comment them down below and they might show up in a future episode. I love this first question. dhall8776 asks, Excelsior will no longer offer UXL exams after the summer 2022 trimester. Is Excelsior going to replace them with another exam? Can a person take a Thomas Edison exam and transfer the credits to Excelsior? Okay, so 2 questions, one really good. I mean, they're both good, but the first one, yeah, Excelsior is going to be getting rid, or they already got rid of like a few months ago, their UXL exams. And this is something that everybody needs to know because I still have people every once in a while come to me and say, hey, I want to go to Excelsior University. But unfortunately, Excelsior continues to like shoot themselves in the foot and make their school harder and harder to go to. Like they had this great deal where you could transfer in all except for, what was it, 7 credits, something like that. I think it was 7 credits. And those 7 credits would each cost $500 plus, and so that was kind of expensive per credit, but it was still like $3,500 plus all the transfer credit, and you could make that work if you used UXL exams. But now that the UXL exams, like their in-house version of CLEP, is gone, Excelsior is so much more expensive because unless you are coming in with the exact perfectly matching transfer credits from another school, you're going to have to take more classes at Excelsior and pay more of that top dollar price, meaning that in most cases, for most people, Thomas Edison is maybe cheaper, WGU could be cheaper, UMPI is definitely cheaper. And so Excelsior, I don't think they're going to replace those exams. I haven't done any research into it, but if you would get rid of something that was like the single most popular credit by exam option offered by a college, not by a third party, if you get rid of that, like it seems like they're making a switch in their marketing plan, in their vision of themselves, because I think they're trying to move away from helping transfer students, or they're just trying to make more money off of them, which transfer students have a lot of schools to choose from. So trying to make more money off of their transfer students is equal to moving away from them because we'll just find somewhere else to go. So, yeah, maybe you can transfer Thomas Edison's exams to Excelsior. It really depends on Excelsior. I don't, off the top of my head, know the answer to that, but I wanted to talk about Excelsior and how much worse it's getting. All right, Gorgeous6031 asks, I want to do 90 credits through Sophia and then finish the remaining at UMPI through the Your Pace program. Is this doable? The answer is that in most cases it's not, because there are certain classes in the general education at UMPI and in some of the majors that you might choose where there's just not an equivalent through Sophia. There are probably 4 or 5 classes that you have to get from somewhere else, not Sophia, to finish their general education. But you know, if you know which ones to pick and you put things together and you know which classes apply where, you can get really, really close to that 90 credit mark. I would guess you could probably hack 75 credits through Sophia and 15 credits from everywhere else. Best case scenario. Ibram Getachew 8326. Yes, it's a great question, and I love answering this question every time it comes up, and it comes up a lot. He says, thank you very much. What would you recommend for an international student who wants to finish up online within a year of time frame? Thanks a lot. Now, the part that comes up a lot is like, how do I graduate in a year? But if you're an international student, the process is very similar. Because you're international, you're not going to really be able to use CLEPs or DSSTs, so you're going to want to stick to third-party course providers like Sophia, StraighterLineOfStudy.com. And if you're wanting to finish up within a year, well, first off, if you're international, you can't go to WGU because they won't accept you. So you're really left with 2 really good options I would recommend in that situation would be Thomas Edison. Well, you know, SNHU and Liberty are both good options. Thomas Edison, Liberty, SNHU, and Purdue Global. Actually, I've been seeing a lot of really good stuff from them, and they do have like a self-paced track as well that they've started offering that I really, really like. And then, of course, UMPI. So one of those schools would be a great fit, and for those, you should be able to do third-party courses for most of the courses in there. Figure if you're just doing the minimum 30 credits at a school, try to knock that out somewhere between 3 to 6 months, and then the rest of the time you have for hacking. And that leaves you needing to knock out, let's see, if you've got 30 you're trying to knock out like one a week. So like one, you're not gonna be able to do CLEPs, like I said, but like one SOFIA per week, one Straight Align per week, one Stay.com per week. And some of those are gonna take longer, some of those are gonna take less. Like if you watch this video where I did the speed run through of a SOFIA course, that took me 30 minutes. Now, like I was corrected on by comments on the video, it was only a 1 credit course, but still, like if it was only gonna take an hour and a half to get 3 credits, that's still pretty good. But there are going to be courses that take a lot longer. So my recommendation, third-party courses, one of those universities that I mentioned, and then hit me up for a consultation, and I'll set you up. I'll tell you exactly how to do it step by step. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lillian Labati, 4314, asks, hi, which school is cheaper to study, to get a bachelor in social work? And here's the sad fact is there's one school, I'll check really quickly here, but I've never really seen a serious attempt at a social work degree online. And I'm just going to confirm that SNHU doesn't have one. Liberty might have decided to offer one, but social work is something that is such a face-to-face, person-to-person job that it just is a really difficult thing to translate to online work. And it looks like Liberty does have a bachelor's in social work online. I don't know if they have any kind of residencies with that or something. But personally, if I was you and I wanted to go into social work, I'd try to find a program that, sure, was distance learning, but that had some kind of on-campus experience, or like maybe you have to come by for a week every 3 months or every 2 weeks every year or something like that, because you're just going to get such a better experience and you're going to be so much more prepared for your job. It's really hard unless the school is making a huge effort, like one-on-one coaching, and you're getting tremendous value for your dollar. Unless the school is making a huge effort for that, you're just not going to get all of the training that you need to be able to excel in that field. And so Liberty does have a social work, and they're the only one I've ever found with a bachelor's in that. But at the same time, I'd still keep shopping. I'm going to go ahead and answer this question because I think it's a really, really good one, and we don't talk about this enough. But Pawn Pusher Live asks, what is CLEP? So, we talk about SOFIA, we talk about a lot of third-party courses, and I'll throw the word CLEP out there a lot, but I don't always explain it. So if you're watching this and you don't know what CLEP is, I'm going to give you the 30-second guide. Essentially, the College Board is a third-party course test-providing institution. Back in the late 60s, early 70s, created courses that were very similar, tests that tested students' knowledge of general education, like first and second year college subjects. And so if you could pass that test at a certain level, then a lot of colleges promised, hey, we'll give you credit for that. And to this day, it is still the most popular form of alternative, like credit by exam. And so, almost no matter what school you go to in the U.S., they're going to accept some CLEP. In fact, over 3,000 colleges in the U.S. accept CLEP in some form or another. Pawn Pusher Live also asks this other really good question. He says, residency requirement? You have to actually go live there? And that's in reference to my video about the 5 best online colleges. By the way, I'm going to put out another one here at the beginning of the year, an updated list. Let me know if there's a college that you think I should consider to put on that list, actually. That'd be super helpful. Residency requirement can mean 2 things in higher education. When you're talking about online higher education, a residency requirement just means how many credits you took at the school. Some schools that are more focused on a residential program might say, hey, you have to live on campus. But for the schools that I'm talking about, generally it means just how many credits you take there. So the residency requirement for most schools is 25% of the degree or 30 credits. I'm going to take this question from Rafael Gutierrez 3660 and tweak it a little bit. Basically, he's asking, can you do the same for an associate's, talking about hacking a degree? And it's on my video about hacking Liberty University's bachelor's in business. And the question I want to ask is, should you hack an associate's? Because I do have consultations with people every once in a while who say, hey, should I want to get an associate's first and then go get my bachelor's. And my question is always why. And there are good reasons and there are bad reasons. Okay. Wanting to build up your confidence to go get your bachelor's is an acceptable reason, okay? But the problem with that is that it is going to slow you down depending on a few things. Now, if you get an associate's in business and then go on to get a bachelor's in business, chances are you're not going to take any extra courses unnecessarily. Some schools might have you take 15 credits for the associates and then another 30 credits with them in that residency requirement for the bachelor's in business. I think that's going to be pretty rare. Most schools will usually count the in-residence courses for the associates towards the 30 credits for the bachelor's. But if there is a slightly different course requirement, you might end up taking more than the bare minimum 30 credits at the school, which then slows you down, costs you more money. Now, if you're wanting to get an associate's to go into a super applied professional field like X-ray tech or air traffic controller, or like a lot of these jobs are going to be the trades. It might be like woodworking or carpentry. I guess those are the same thing for the most part. Welding. You might find an associate's that gets you prepped for that. In which case, that's awesome, because that gives you not the jobs aren't going to care in those cases so much about the associates as they're going to care about the certifications that come with that. So you might as well skip some of the liberal arts and humanities courses that go into an associate's and just focus on getting your journeyman license. But like let's take the X-ray tech, because there's a lot of similar medical field type, very specialized niche jobs that you can learn about in 30 credits worth of courses, and they want to see an associate's, and they're like, okay, good, you can run an X-ray machine. That isn't a very good reason to get an associate's, because all of a sudden you're getting paid, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 a year or something like that, I would guess. And you're only having to do 2 years worth of school, and you're planning backwards. You're saying, okay, I want to be an X-ray tech. I need to do this to get there, so I'm going to do this. And usually the requirement is just an associate's. So there's that. But a bad reason to get an associate's, I guess, would be if you want to get a job, like a pay increase, or get a new job, or going to a new field, and you're like, I'll just get an associate's and that'll look good on my resume. The field doesn't require an associate's. It requires a bachelor's, or it doesn't require a bachelor's, but an associate's will make me look better. Universally, for that, in that situation, most employers don't care about an associate's. They want to see a bachelor's or nothing. Unless, of course, like I was just talking about, it's a very applied field like X-ray tech or something very, very specific and hands-on type of work. Caitlin Rain 4805, when I go to Sophia's College and University Partners, UMPI isn't on there. Does that matter? I usually click on them to see what courses they accept. And that is true. For some reason, UMPI has decided not to have Sophia publicly post their Sophia equivalencies. My guess is that in like super higher education and state schools, there might be a little bit of a bias against Sophia, because, faculty are like, what, my math class that I get paid money to teach, my livelihood is based off of, you knock that out in 3 days for $100. That's not right. And of course, the answer to that is always, look, all Sophia is guaranteeing is that the student got a C level. And also some people just learn faster that way, or some people already knew the math stuff to begin with. People who are bad at math are not going to knock out a Sophia math course in 3 days, all right? But the professors will hear these sort of like victory stories from students, and they're thinking, oh, great. Now I'm only going to have 17 students in my class. They're going to cancel my class. They're going to pay me less, and I'm going to get let go eventually because there's nobody to teach because everybody's going to Sophia. So there's a good chance that UMPI, as a state school with tenure faculty that's part of a larger University of Maine system, probably just doesn't want faculty to be, or other stakeholders to be able to go to the Sophia website and be like, oh, wow, UMPI supports them. UMPI much more passively accepts the Sophia credits. At least that's my theory as to why that is. But they do accept them. So you can always take a bunch of Sophia courses, try to guess which ones will fit where. And a lot of times it's common sense, not always. And then you can transfer them to Sophia and see what they'll give you. Or you can set up a consultation with me. And I have done the legwork to be able to figure out exactly which courses transfer where. I'd be happy to help you with that. By the way, if you're interested in UMPI, just put out a review about them last week. I really like this comment from Emily D. Torres. She says, people, go to your local community college. It's usually cheaper than the online schools he talked about. You can take an in-person class if you want, and you can actually go to the campus for services if needed. I went from SNHU to an in-state local community college, and it is way better. Quality is better, or at the very least, not worse. It's better, or, it's not as bad. Or it's not worse than them. It's at least the same. And I'm not here to make fun of Emily. I think she makes a really, really good point. For some people, in-class learning is way better. And especially if you're younger or don't have a full-time job, maybe you're working nights or mornings or something and you have evenings free, some people are going to thrive a lot more in the classroom with a professor there, with classmates, with discussions. And I think for grad school, I always recommend going in person because grad school is supposed to be a meeting of the minds where people can have discussions with people who are smarter than themselves, and you get to learn from your classmates. Like, that's really the big point of grad school. A good grad class has the students themselves do a lot of the teaching because it's their chance to gain some expertise and to teach each other and to learn from each other. Anyway, as far as this goes, though, yeah, community college is an awesome setup. It sounds like this person was just mad at SNHU and maybe had a bad experience there and decided to go community college, because I've heard plenty of people who are like, my community college sucks. I hate it. I went to, insert big name online school, so much more convenient. And the fact of the matter is just people who are wanting different things from life. Some people want a little more hands-on interpersonal perspective, and some people are like, get out of my way. I'm going to start learning this. I don't have the need to go and talk to somebody about my grades or my problems or whatever. I just want to get this done. So I think that community college is worthwhile to consider, but I think that a lot of the people who watch this channel have jobs, have families, and don't really have the time to commit to going to actual classes locally. And so, yeah, you really have to know yourself and know what you need. Michelle is not right. I love this question. Why the heck don't you have more views? Yeah, it's just because people are so distracted by cat videos and videos about magnets and Marvel Olympics. No, I kid. But yeah, I think the fact is that not a lot of people know that college hacking is even an option. And there's a lot of people who don't think, you know what? I have a problem with getting through college the way that I want to. I'll go to YouTube and find out. So my question for you is, if you found me here on YouTube, what were you looking for that got you to my videos? I would be so curious to know. And in advance, thanks for your help. I really like reading success stories, and ATYT22 has one. WGU let me transfer in 36 credits from my previous degree. Then I transferred another 11 credits from Sophia, which only took me a month to complete. Amazing work. So I came in with 47 credits, 38% completed with the degree, and now the plan is to take 2 classes a month for the next 9 to 12 months and graduate with my second bachelor's. They say having the second undergrad will help me change careers into tech and prepare me for the grad school I want to go to. That is amazing. Congrats so much, ATYT22, and keep up the great work. I hope that that's going well. Please, if you're watching this, give me a status update. I'd love to hear how that's going. And yeah, I don't actually end up sending a lot of people to WGU just because it's a little bit harder to transfer credits there. If you're looking for competency-based in business, UMPI is generally a quicker, easier option. But WGU is a powerhouse. And like I've said to a lot of people in the past, if you have no transfer credit, you don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of hacking, but you still want to graduate quickly and inexpensively, WGU is a great school. Their proctoring system sounds a little bit messed up from what everybody has told me in the reviews and the research that I've done. But other than that, it's a really cool school. And if you're looking particularly to go into something in computer science, yeah, I would say particularly computer science. Of the online computer science program or degree options, WGU is easily top 2. An Endless Journey 3298 asks, why go to a regionally accredited school when you could go to a nationally accredited school? This is a great question because a lot of people get this confused. I've talked about this a little bit in previous videos, but essentially, even though a nation is bigger than a region, region is still better. Think of it as like the more specific you get and the closer you look at something, the more you understand it. And so there are like 5 or 7, maybe 8, I'm not exactly sure, regional accrediting bodies in the US that kind of focus on their part of the country. And they have basically this organization where all the schools contribute and they all like look at each other's programs and they do reviews every few years and they say, all right, is this school up to snuff? And they have high standards. National accrediting bodies are a little bit looser. They have lower standards. It's easier to get in. And so generally nationally accredited schools have less of a good reputation than regionally accredited schools. And if you're trying to transfer your nationally accredited credits to a regional school or go to a regional graduate program, there's less of a likelihood that you'll be able to get in. So hopefully that explains the difference between those two. Okay, this one makes me laugh for sure. Lemur9541, I'm a student at LUO. It's an okay school, but if you're not a hardcore Christian, it definitely isn't for you. The coursework is integrated with the Bible and Christian worldviews. Every single class I've taken for my degree turns the assignments into a how does this relate to the Bible or Christian worldview assignment. And that is a super fair criticism. Now, full disclosure, I'm a Christian too. I worked at LUO until I was able to get out of there and start doing my own thing. And actually, technically, I guess I worked at LUO. I worked residentially too. I did a lot of stuff for them, but I've definitely moved on. And there was, I love Christian worldview integration and all of this stuff, but there would be times where it was like, you were doing math and they'd be like, here's a mathematic rule. Look at this from a Christian perspective. Or, here's, I don't know. They would just take things. It was like there's a rule that every class has to have some kind of Christian worldview integration. And you'd be teaching a class where you're like, how in the world is this supposed to have a Christian worldview integration? Like, and a lot of times it starts to end up being very like shoehorned. Like when I was going through my PhD there, I had to take a class in like teaching the college student, right? And I don't know, there was an assignment or something. I can't remember the exact specifics, but it was like, how does your Christian perspective influence your teaching philosophy? Which is actually kind of an okay question, but you would look at like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example here. Oh, okay, a class on how to write a literature review. And you're taking this class on how to write a literature review, and then how in the world do you look at this from a Christian perspective? So you'd always end up with like one weird 50-point assignment where you had to do like this super gymnastics, jump through hoops attempt to like have a Christian perspective on this topic that was just kind of neutral. And I was annoyed as a professor and as a student. If you're not a Christian yourself, you might just be annoyed in general by having to do assignments like that if you go to LUO. But I will say, if you can stick through that, LUO has a lot of really good things to offer, in particular being great discounts for military students and having one of the widest selections, perhaps the widest selection of online undergraduate bachelor's degree programs to choose from. Hey, another success story, PBSA 3.1 on a video that I did about UMPI. It was actually the tour I did inside their classes. Says, graduated from there this past May, got my 4-year degree in 1 year. That is super awesome. I mean, there you go. There's a success story where somebody did the entire degree in just 1 year. It is super possible with UMPI and many other schools that we talk about too. All right, we're going to end on, I think, what is probably going to be a sobering note. Mr. Wednesday Night says, well, I got the 4-year degree, but why am I still stuck in minimum wage jobs? He says, it's because I lack the 3 to 5 years experience in any field other than customer service. And this is sad because this happens a lot. People are told, they're sold this bill of goods like, hey, if you go get your undergraduate degree, your bachelor's degree, your life's going to be so easy. You're going to get great jobs. It's a golden ticket of success and opportunity. And then they finish that degree. They've got $30,000 to $50,000 in student debt, and nobody's hiring them. And the reason for this is, one, these people are kind of getting screwed over by a system that's offering these false promises and making it sound way easier than it is. And second, it's also a little bit of a failure to plan backwards. So what a person needs to be doing before they go and get their bachelor's degree is they need to know what they're trying to achieve. And so if it's to get into grad school, if it's to get a promotion, if it's to switch careers, you need to spend a lot more time investigating that change, that step, that career, that grad school, even than you spend picking out a bachelor's degree or an undergraduate school to go to, because you need to know what the requirements are, like what classes should I be taking, what experience should I have, and then if they are saying, if the field is saying, hey, 3 to 5 years of experience, you need to, it might even be worthwhile to spend a few hours a week volunteering doing that kind of thing for a nonprofit. Like, let's say that you want to go into marketing, okay? It may be social media, let's say. I don't think a lot of people who watch this channel want to go into social media, but you're watching social media right now, so it's a great example. You want to go into social media, and most of the jobs you're seeing say 1 to 3 years worth of experience and a bachelor's degree in strategic communications or in social media or journalism. So you think, okay, cool, well, I'll get that degree and then I'll work my way into that experience. You've got to be thinking about it differently. Like, it's not, the degree isn't the golden ticket to get that job. Some of the times it is, but not all the time. In this case, you also need that experience. So a really good plan here would be to find a way to get that degree and then also to be volunteering doing that social media work. And you only have to do it for like let's say you just did 5 hours a week for a local nonprofit. You posted to Facebook and Instagram for them. You put together a plan, and you're taking, a year and a half to do your bachelor's degree. And so you spend a year and a half doing that. Now you've got a year and a half's worth of experience. Now it's not full-time experience, but you have been in this field, learning about it, doing things for a year and a half. And that makes you eligible for that job. Now, somebody who comes along and says, well, I've actually been paid to do this for a year and a half, and I've been, doing it full time, and I've gone to a conference or something like that, they're going to have more experience than you. It's going to look a little bit better than you. But if you can show, hey, look, we grew Facebook likes by 10%. Hey, we got, I posted 500 Instagram posts in a year, something like that. When you have those kinds of metrics to show the experience and to show you've done that kind of thing, that for a lot of employers is just as good of an experience as many others. Like if somebody comes along and hasn't kept track of those metrics, but they were in charge of posting to their Facebook page for their company for 2 years or 3 years, but they didn't really do much with it, then an employer is going to look at that and be like, well, I don't really see any proof of concept. But if you can start building up those stats and that effort and that work and getting that kind of stuff done, and it doesn't have to just be social media. Like let's say you want to go into the medical field and you want to become a nurse, but all these nursing jobs, then this is not the case because everybody's trying to hire nurses. But let's say that there were too many nurses and it was hard to get a job. You could go volunteer at a nursing home for a day a week or half a day a week or something. And now all of a sudden you've got experience with patients. And I think that even more so than the experience, what employers are looking for is there's two things. A, am I going to have to bend over backwards to train this person? So if you've already got your hands in, some of the lingo and the terms, you've got a little bit of experience and you've got proof of some of that experience, all of a sudden you're way more hireable. And then B, what they're looking for, and my mind just totally blanked while I was coming up with A. Oh, and then I remember what it was. B, they want to know that you actually care about the job and that you're interested in the field. So, this person isn't just, I don't know, they don't really care about it. They just think it's cool. They want to be here. And then if they don't like it, in 3 months, they'll be gone. No, I want to see that this person has actually been thinking about this thing and doesn't hate it now, because again, the last thing an employer wants to have to do, one of the last things, is spend time, training the next person that they have to hire to replace you after you leave. So that's a super long, roundabout way of saying basically plan backwards and come up with creative ways to hit those. There's a really good book by Jon Acuff about career planning and then some of this career planning backward stuff. Do Over by Jon Acuff is a really good one. Make today the first day of your new career. And then Finish, Give Yourself the Gift of Done, talks about being able to start projects and complete them. And it has some good principles that apply here, but Do Over has some very specific applications to starting a new career, and I would highly recommend that book. All right, guys, that's all that I've got. Thanks so much for watching, hanging out with me. If you've got some comments down below, well, I guess they wouldn't be down below yet, but if you have some comments or some questions, go ahead and hit me up down below. We'd love to hear from you guys and feature you in our next Q&A in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget that if you want to graduate college quickly and inexpensively, sign up for a consultation with me and my team, and we will get you graduated so that you can build a career that you love.